Games, Brains Are Banging Life here. Carl, Brendan, down, lockdown, locked down. I'm going on new metal. I've been listening to too many modern new metal bands recently. None of them are on this list, thankfully. We're doing bucket list bands. Now, we are blessed. We are very, very lucky to have seen a fuckload of bands between us. To the point that a bucket list band, and no cheating here, these bands have to still be able to go. There's no, oh, if this person came back from the dead, or if this...
yeah. That would have been way too easy.
Yeah, exactly. So, in that regard...
10 times.
Yeah, and as well, it was a bit of, well, I can't just choose bands I like right now. I've got to try and think about this. So we've come up with 10 each, and we're going to go through them and then say why.
Yep.
Do you want to go first?
Yeah, I can go first. Although I guess, weirdly, a lot of mine are... They're not just bands that I like now. But they are bands that I guess some of them I've fallen in love with in recent times.
Yep.
And, they are genuinely on my my bucket list now.
Yes.
And the first one of those bands, the very first one that popped into my head when I was like, I've just got to see this band, was Molt.
Oh, yeah.
A band I absolutely fell in love with their album Saw Gear, which came out a couple of years back. I think it's 2018. And I know it was like their fifth or sixth album, and I'd not really heard, I don't think I'd even heard of them. It's power metal, but like a kind of darker, dirtier version of it.
Yeah.
It's not all clean singing and keyboards and folk kind of elements. It's Icelandic folk, which has it's a nice raw edge to the album.
It's got a chill.
And that album just blew me away, man. It was one of my favorite albums of the year. I play 2 or 3 songs from it, in particular a song called Mara. Oh man, probably every other day. I'm like, I haven't listened to Mara for 2 days. I better listen to Mara again. I really like the band. They're active on social media. They've got like a really cool kind of ethic. They were like everybody at the moment. They've been putting videos up of their guitarists, doing some of the sort of kind of like lessons, but like tuition on it, which is really cool. And yeah, I don't know. I guess it's weird. Sometimes I think a band ends up on your bucket list because of a song before the band. Yeah. And for me, it all kind of started with is like, I have to hear Mara live. I have to, And then I've been lucky with this band in recent times because often we get into new bands now, and there's not so much of a back catalogue to delve into, Yep. And thankfully, there's 4 or 5 albums there which I've got into, and there's an album before it that I can't pronounce. Which I've been listening to a lot recently, and one before that which I also can't pronounce because they're written, I think, in Icelandic. And I've got 3 or 4 more to go. It's brilliant, I love it.
Yeah, you normally don't get that, as you say. No. You get into a band, they've got 1 album or an EP.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. And you're like, oh, God, I can't wait for 3 years for another song to come out.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was really nice, getting into this album, loving it so much. But then going backwards and finding that, I wasn't going... Oh, the worry is you go back a little bit and maybe this was the highlight, this is the peak.
Yep.
And you're going back and you're going, oh, shit. I'll just stick with this one. But, I haven't found that with them. I've struggled with a lot of their song names because a lot of it is in Icelandic. It's sung in Icelandic, which is good. I like that. It kind of gives it this authenticity. Mm-hmm. I sing along with it, even though I don't know what the words and I don't speak Icelandic, but you make the noises, don't you?
Yep.
This band have had a massive impact on me in these last few years, and they're 100%, the exact reasons why a band should be on your bucket list. When you get as excited as I currently am just talking about the idea of seeing them.
Yeah, it's well, it's not on my bucket list. It's one of those that when it comes around, I will want to be there as well.
Yeah. Several
times you said during that, you gave me wonderful segue moments, and I was trying to pick which one I was going to use.
And then I kept talking.
No, but I'm going to go with one. So you mentioned the time when you will hear one song by a band, and that's what makes you want to see them.
Yeah.
That applied to this band once upon a time. And I've actually banged on about them for a couple of years. In fact, they've been in our last 3 years of bands we want to see at Bloodstock. And this band has been in mine each time. And it is the German atmospheric black metal band Waldflüster. It was the album Ruin, and there was a song on it called Asker Phoenix. Asker Phoenix, I'm probably pronouncing it terribly. And that song, that's years old, and I still listen to that. that was on in my car this morning to drive to work. So this is such a big deal to me. They're virtually unknown in this country. They play live in Germany, European countries, but getting over here just does not seem to be happening. They're the sort of band that I think would fit so well at Bloodstock for a low-down slot in the Sophie stage, and I'd be in my element. The latest album as well, which I'm not going to try and pronounce because Jesus, is like, it's one of those where I loved Astra Phoenix so much that I kind of forgot about the rest of Ruin. And so I went back and, re-listened to it, and that song is like the best thing on it. It's an incredible album. And then the new album came out, and it's like you said, oh, is it a fluke? Or am I gonna, and so on. And it's not, thank fuck. So this is one of mine. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Like you said, they're not massively known. I know the name, but that's it. Yeah. So my second one is actually similar, I guess, story to Skull Molders, in it's relatively recent to me, and this is the French symphonic melodic death metal folk power metal band, Anima.
Yeah.
Another band that just like the impact on my music over the last couple of years has been phenomenal. Their most recent album, which was actually last year, 2019, the album Procopton, I think is one of the best in that genre of music. I know, like, this is easy when it's still fresh in your mind. It's probably the best I've ever heard of that genre. And I know that's quite a hard thing to say because they have a very specific kind of genre, as in symphonic, melodic, death metal, folk, power, and a bit of everything. But I just think it's the perfect album for me. And again, just like Skull Mold, it's got 3 or 4 albums. No, it's got maybe only 2 albums actually before it, or the one might be an EP.
Yeah.
I've only gone back to one of them so far, which is called Memento Mori, and again, it's absolutely brilliant. The band are growing, I guess. I'm hoping they'll get to the UK at some point. I don't think I don't think there's been much in the way of it being planned at the moment, but I know they did some reasonable sized tours around Canada and a few places like that. So you're kind of hoping that the growth continues and they'll end up over here. But for me, Procopton from Anima just kind of turned this band into, just like Skull Mold, an absolute must-see because I love the album. Unlike Skull Mold, I didn't get hooked on a particular song with Anima, which is a weird thing. I could listen to that album kind of like almost twice in a row because it was released with, so I think it's got like 10 or 12 tracks on it. And then it's also followed up by the same 10 or 12 tracks, but purely instrumental. So I could listen to, and I gladly still do. I listen to all tracks one after the other, and then I listen to all instrumental versions one after the other. And I've not reached, after the best part of a year listening to that. If a song came on now, I'd be like, there's no song I'd skip.
Yep.
There isn't a song that I skip. I'm happy to just listen to the whole thing. I mean, I think it's good enough that they should go out next year and do a 1-year anniversary tour of it. And I'll be there at the front, probably on my own, but I'll still be there. So yeah, another band that really, really just pushed themselves to the forefront of my kind of my thinking, in recent years. Boom.
Yeah, man.
They dropped the mic, but it's attached to my head.
Right. Another segue I was trying to do in the original point was you talked about singing along, right? And I'm sure you're the same. Even if you can understand the words and you're in your car and you've got the music loud and there'll be someone spectacular, a voice way beyond anything we can do, and you'll try and sing along and you'll think you sound...
Oh, yeah, you think you sound pretty good until someone turns the music down.
Yeah. So the guy I hold myself up against is Hansi Kirch. Obviously, of Blind Guardian.
Yeah.
Now, Blind Guardian on a bucket list band? Of course not. I've seen them loads. But who I haven't seen, and hopefully we'll get the opportunity fairly soon, is Demons and Wizards. Now, before 3, which is the latest album, I probably would have said not too bothered. Then 3 came along, and I love it. And I will pay for one song off that album, and it is Children of Cain. Do you know it?
Yeah, I do. I've been listening to that album quite a bit as well, and it is a very good album. Yeah. And actually, the same as you, I wasn't overly fussed. The weird thing about it, and I guess this is kind of what you were alluding to, is that I only would have given Demons and Wizards a chance purely because Hansi's in it.
Yeah.
That's it. And you know that, and I guess in a way he's kind of a strange one in it because he's like a bucket list bloke. He could announce that he's the new singer for Less Than Jake, and I'd go and see them. They'd be on my list. You know.
You're right, because I like Iced Earth, but
yeah,
it's not big.
Not in the same level. No, it's not the same level.
But yeah, Children of Cain, it's in my driving playlist, and every time it comes on, it's a combination of emotion, and I try and sing along to that. But yeah, I love 3 overall, and it's made Demons and Wizards. All right, I now need to see that experience live. Yeah.
Because didn't they play the same night as Gojira?
They did. That right? It was. They were clashing with someone we had already got tickets to. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, no, that's a good shout. I don't have them on my list, but it's a good shout. Mm-hmm. One on my list, which I'm hoping will get ticked off this year, but who knows how it's going to go, and that is Cattle Decapitation. Mm-hmm. So a little bit of a change of direction for me, I guess. I've gone from like my folk power phase into a bit heavier.
Brutal death metal, yeah.
Yeah. But although the most recent album, Bring Back the Plague, was that a song on it? I can't remember now.
It was Bring Back the Plague, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's definitely a song on it, but I can't remember if that's the album title as well. I've forgotten.
Yeah.
But anyway, although, you know, that's probably the most recent memory of it, I actually got really big into them back in their album, The Anthropocene Extinction, which was about 4 or 5 years ago. And I listened to that and I loved it, and I thought, you know, it's really, really good. But I wasn't too interested going backwards. You know, I listened to a few bits backwards, but
there's a lot.
You know, when you come out in that genre, you know, from the beginning, you don't come out and be too expansive, do you? You know, in extreme death metal, your first album is very rarely, oh, let me show you some clean singing in here.
Yeah.
You know, so they became more expansive and creative as they came on, and I kind of got on board, I guess, around Anthropocene. And I loved it, but I never really kind of followed up on it, you know, because I didn't go backwards, so I had to wait really for the next release to come out. And not long after that, they did a double album of B-sides and rarities called Medium Rarities, which again, I was like, yeah, this is brilliant. And because it's B-sides and rarities, it kind of gave me that kind of insight into the back catalogue without having to go and get the 10 albums or 6 albums and listen to them back to back and try and find the good stuff.
Yeah.
You know, and then obviously when the new album came out, that was it. I was like 100% sold. I absolutely loved it. I think the new album, you know, it's too good to be kind of labelled as just extreme metal or a death metal or grind or anything like that. You know, I think they are a leading light in that genre, showing other bands that it's all right to expand, that you can still be heavy as fuck, but clever and creative. You know, I think I've got an insane amount of respect for that band. You know, I've seen some things that they've done, you know, during the Australian wildfires and the money they raised from special shirts to save animals from a sanctuary out there. You know, the things that they're doing, like selling excess stock to donate money now to the to help battle like COVID-19 and everything like that. I think they're, you know, it's weird. I guess if you go to the non-metalers and you go like, listen to this band, these are the people that these non-metalers think are the devil.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, aside from black metal, these are the guys that, you know, you'd be scared to walk down the street with. And they're just like, I'm quite inspired by them. I think they're quite brilliant musically and in the way that they hold themselves and put themselves across. And yeah, fingers crossed. Well, I said we should. When was that? I can't remember when the gig was. We should have seen them already.
This week, I think.
Yeah, it was around now, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But now it's all hopes pegged on Bloodstock. So
yeah,
cool.
Something similar.
Yeah.
Not really. Hellions. Do you know them?
Who? Hellions.
Hellions.
Yeah. Not well. Only from the stuff. I know you've done quite a bit of stuff about them on the site.
Yeah, the pop punkers, pop rockers. Well, not pop rockers, pop punkers. Punk
I hate them already.
Fucking amazing band. I really, really like this band. Combination of fantastic energy, great catchy tunes, a bit of kick-ass snarl to them. Not afraid to say what they want to say. You know, I always think of their song "Smile," which is wonderfully catchy and very uplifting. And it's one of those songs where had they just changed one word, they would probably got so much radio play. But they chose to keep the word "fuck" in it, and that punk spirit really, really sits well with me.
Yeah, no, I'm cool with that. Yeah.
Yeah. That's it.
Well, I'm glad they swore.
Yeah.
I'm not a massive fan of pop punk generally. But yeah. So the next one, again, these they're not new to me. They've been around a fair few years now. Although they're a relatively new band, I guess, in comparison to some. And this is Chemists.
Yeah.
Now this is probably it's not weird, I guess, but for me, Chemists are very much in the Doom category, and I'm not huge on Doom, but I am fucking massive on this band. You know, I do think they are absolutely fucking fantastic. I think they're brilliant. Their album Desolation was the turning point for me on this, and actually the album that probably made me go, oh, I've got to give more Doom a go.
Yeah.
You know, it's not the it's not overly sludgy and fuzzy and all that. You know, it's I guess it's more of an old school sort of Doom. You know, there's quite a lot of groove and cleanness in it. But I just think the guy's voice, man, whoever the singer is for that band, is just phenomenal. I love the album Desolation. They've got a new EP coming out, although I think they're labeling it as a mini album. But it's not really. It's more of a collection of things, you know. So there are a couple of tracks that were done as sort of independent tracks in what you call it, like splits and stuff like that back in their early years. And they basically pulled them together, and then also done one song from each album as live songs on it.
Okay.
And do you know the best thing in the world is to listen to those live songs, because you can't really tell that they're live. You know, they sound note for note perfect. And I think the thing that turned them from being a band I just really, really loved to a band I really wanted to see live was listening to them playing live on a record and being like, yeah, I want to hear that.
Okay,
I want to be there and hear that wash over me, man. So yeah, big fan. Good band.
Good bands. Talking of good bands, one of my all-time favourite is Thormesis. The Black in Death, Atmospheric Pulse, a bit of everything in them. The last two albums have... both got 10 out of 10 on this site from me. This is... There's not really a lot to say. I just really want them to come over here and play. They tour all the time at the UK. I'm going to say...
Sounds like Scandinavian, but...
No, it's not there. It's someone... Where are they from? Why have I lost this train of thought? I can't remember. I cannot remember where they're from, but it's somewhere in Europe. But yeah, they play all the time. They're out and about, very active on social media and stuff, but doesn't always translate into coming to the UK.
It's not easy, is it?
No. But yeah, wonderful, wonderful band. Several songs. The song Deadened Skies from the latest album is still getting regular play, and that album came out last year.
Yeah.
In fact, was that my number one in our top 50? It might have been my number one and my number two, the album. I can't remember. That's how much I love it. Yeah.
Okay. So my next one is another one like Cattle Decapitation that I shall hopefully tick off this year, and that is Dark Tranquillity.
Oh, of course.
A band I've been a fan of now for a fair amount of time, really. Mostly grew into, like, I guess, fanboyism around the Atoma sort of album release, which was actually my number one album of the year that came out, which I can't remember when that was. It was like 15 or 14 maybe.
Yeah, I remember.
Maybe not that, maybe 15, 16. And, you know, again, another album, you know, like you get albums like your number ones, they get regular play for years after, and this is one that still does. Have never seen them. Don't know why. I'm sure that they're big enough that they probably tour over here. You know, I'm sure they came over here for the Atoma album tour, I would have imagined. I'd be surprised if they didn't. But whatever the reasons, I never saw them live. I've always wanted to, and then they got announced at Bloodstock while we were at Bloodstock 2019, which was like fucking great. So fingers crossed that'll be ticked off the list this year as well. But yeah, massive fan of the. Well, it's hard sell because they get billed as melodic death metal, but bands like At the Gates and Night Rage I see as melodic death metal. Dark Tranquillity are not really like that. I think just to call them a metal band.
Yeah.
But yeah,
well, crossover certainly.
Yeah.
Right, what have I got? Mist of Misery. Black metal band with elements of atmospheric and post. I have a bit of a theme here. Wonderful, wonderful band, doing great work. Really got them into the last couple of years. The last two albums again. It was the last two that first came my way, and from that, just find them simply phenomenal. Top draw black metal stuff for me. Like the best of it, the best stuff you're getting in the modern day, rather than going, okay, let's all see Emperor again. We got bands like this doing their shit. Mr. Misery.
Cool. So this one, I guess. So we're going to go stay in the kind of black metal, black and death, I guess, potentially. And this is 1914.
Oh, of course.
This isn't a band I could honestly say were on my bucket list 2 years ago.
No.
You know, this has all come off the back of their album, The Blind Leading the Blind.
Mm-hmm.
But I do credit this album in my, puny little mind as being, I guess, two things. One being one of my favorite black metal sounds. Like if I wanted to play, like, you want to hear some like kind of scary shit.
Yeah.
This is the sounds to listen to. But also a great example, I think, of a concept album.
Yep.
I think it's a fantastic example, and it was also quite fresh and new to me because I guess a lot of the time, concepts tend to come more from either imaginations of people who are making up stories, like maybe the Fear Factory sort of thing. You're going down the Terminator kind of robot route, or sci-fi route.
Yep.
And then you have the more power metal sort of Sabaton, Tourist, that's not really concept as such, but you're kind of telling tales, and it's all about power and glory and riding into battle, and then you listen to this, you got a concept album about World War One, and you think like, okay, and when I listened to it, and I was like, this sounds like war. This is like, I feel dirty and bloodied and filthy, like I'm actually in a trench. It sounds terrifying, it's scary, and I was like, it's such a different take for me that I hadn't really heard, a concept being done in such a terrifying way.
Yeah.
So I think the band are brilliant. I would very, very much like to see them, the Ukrainian band, love to see them, perform that stuff live. I think it would be quite an experience.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said with some of the bands, seeing a nice dark kind of, like, you want somewhere small, you know what I mean? I wouldn't want to see this like on a main stage at a festival.
No, during the day,
Yeah, you want to be kind of in the Dome or somewhere like that, the Boston Music Room, something nice and small, crammed in with all candle lit sort of, and then making these fucking noises. I think it could potentially be the first time in years I'll go home and have nightmares.
Very good.
Love the band, good stuff.
Right, I'm going to go to one that's not obscure in the slightest. It's the biggest band arguably I have on here, so to speak, and it's Tool. Now, the reason why, it's one of the last big bands I haven't seen, but the reason, go back 2 years ago and I would have said I'm not bothered. I wasn't one of those, I like Tool, but I'm certainly not one of those that was screaming for it. What changed is a combination of two things. I saw A Perfect Circle at Brixton, and I didn't really want to go to that, but I went and thought it was brilliant. And obviously A Perfect Circle and Tool are different, however they have the same vocalist, which is Maynard.
Yeah.
And I thought he was spectacular. All I remember from that gig is him, and I watched him. There could have been other people on that stage. I don't fucking know. It was him. And then Fear Inoculum, the first Tool album for however long it was, looked like it might be going the way of Chinese democracy, where it was never going to live up to expectations. And even me, cynical as fuck, after hearing it, was like, this is brilliant. Yeah, this is brilliant. So that's why. And they played Download last year, but I'm not going to Download for one band ever.
Nope.
So, that's Tool.
Cool. Not one on my list, to be honest with you. But speaking of segues and not going to Download to see one band, I'll lead into my biggest band on my list. And I took this put this on my list, took it off my list, fucking for hours, mate. I was like, no, I'll replace them. And I put someone else in there, and I'd be like, yeah, but it's not true, is it? And they'd be like, no, fuck them. And it's Korn.
Okay.
Now, I've never seen Korn. I was going to gigs when they were about, but Korn got very big very quickly.
Yes.
Korn weren't, they did for a while, but, it wasn't like I had an opportunity to go and see Korn play at the Underworld in Camden, or anything like that. It all happened massive.
Yeah.
And I wasn't really going to a lot of festivals back when I was younger. I was more going to gigs at Astoria and places like that. So now, obviously, by the time I was, I might start going to gigs myself, or they were kind of moving, I guess, away from their original sound towards a sound that I wasn't quite as on board with, so I wasn't quite as interested in.
Yep.
And then obviously I had a falling out with them.
Yeah, obviously.
Quite dramatically about the dubstep era.
Very public falling out, yeah.
Yeah, still going on about it today. But you know, and I you know, I literally deleted everything of theirs from my phone. I refused to listen to them again. Something came on by accident on a shuffle, I would just skip it.
Yep.
And it took a while, but you know, my feelings on them have kind of healed a little bit. I'm kind of more now of the mindset that, you know, if it was the right gig,
yeah,
I'd go and see Korn now. But like you said, I you know I could go. Oh, well, I can't now, but I could have potentially say gone to Download. Yeah. But I wouldn't go to Download to see one band. Also not when you know, they're playing with sort of the System of a Downs and, you know, that sort of thing. So yeah, biggest band on my list that I have never seen, and I'm finally, I think, back in the place where I'm okay with going to see them, but only if it was the right show.
Yeah,
I'm worried about, you know, like, you know, if they were doing a big fucking, I don't know, them System of a Down, like a new metal reunion tour at the O2 in Greenwich, you know, that's not for me. I still miss it.
Yeah.
But I would love to see them do the Roundhouse or something like that with just one other band in support, and them come out and do a good hour and a half greatest hits.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that'd be great.
Yeah. I agree. I mean, not my bucket list because I have seen them.
Yeah.
But it's been a very long time, and I'm the same as you. It's rehabilitated enough where it's like, okay, yeah, this could work. Yeah. This could be fun.
Yeah, I'm up for it now, but it has got to be the right show, innit?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. All right, my next one is The Distillers. Do you know The Distillers?
Again, not brilliantly, but I know them by name. I think I know a couple tracks, but...
Yeah, they had some big hits back in the day. Punk rock band created by Brody Dale. She's a great vocalist and stuff. And I never cared about The Distillers up until about a year ago, when I ended up hearing the 3 major albums, Coral Fang and the like, and I thought they were fucking great. Great fun. And no, it was longer than a year ago because they weren't back together. That's the thing. They disbanded in 2006. But in the last year or so, they've got back together and doing shows. So I was like, yeah, that's why they're going on the list. I'd like to see The Distillers, yeah.
Money ran out then. I guess they never made, people back then didn't make as much money as we all like to try and make out that they did.
They were born in 1998 and they weren't a new metal band. So
all right, cool. So what have I got next? So my next one I'm going to have is Degra Dead.
Okay, yeah.
Which is another sort of my melodic death metal sort of scene. I believe these guys are, they definitely are Swedish. Probably would have been Night Rage on the list before this past year, to be honest with you. But yeah, I'm a massive fan of Degra Dead. I love every album they've released and every song they release. I think they're fantastic, and I stalk them on Facebook like a fucking weirdo in the hope that, you know, they're going to do something.
Yeah.
They've been very, very silent now for the best part of 4 years.
It's a long time.
It is, yeah. But you know, there's been movements recently in recent months. There's been a few, like on their social media page has become active. They've been sharing things on there, and there was even a couple of posts on there from whether it's them or you know, some marketing person saying that there's some big news in the pipeline. You know, which might be that they've joined Alexi Laiho and the new Children of Bodom or something like that. But yeah, so fingers crossed they're going to get an album out, and you know, obviously what you hope really is that, because I think with these smaller bands, you know, you're not really got a hope in hell of seeing them at a festival. Your chance is so slim.
Yep.
And the chance of them, you know, you might get lucky and they might get picked up by another big band and brought on tour. But there's so many melodic death metal bands out there, and unless it's at the gates of someone out on tour, there's not really anyone bringing them out. So your only hope is that they release an album and the record label that they're with, you know, push it hard and get them out all over different countries. You know, so but you do need that release first. So I know I'm not going to see Degra Dead unless they get another album out, and then they really push for it.
And do you see firsthand if the likes of Night Rage can come over here and 10 people turn up for it? You know, which is what happens.
Yeah, as long as they don't talk to each other back in my head, there's like a big melodic death metal underground forum, you know, and like Night Rage come back and Degra Dead are all like, how's it going? They're like, no, just 10 people. It's like, oh, okay, we'll go east instead.
It's a WhatsApp group.
That'd be great, wouldn't it?
Right, my next 3, I'm not doing all together, but my next 3, just so you know, aren't so much bands, but bands doing specific stuff.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, you should have told me that. I wouldn't. My list would have been so much easier.
Oh, see, I kind of run out. And I didn't want to fill it. like, because there's so many bands of modern day sort of smaller bands, the likes of the Hope Burden, and things like that. That I just thought, nah, I won't put them in. That's kind of a given. So the first one is the simple. Something we both want. We both agreed that when it comes around, we'll try and get to it, which is an Iron Maiden best of show.
Yeah, definitely.
Now, I've seen Maiden twice before at festivals, and it's always been an album. It's always been related to an album. I don't want that. I want want to go to one of these just O2 Arena shows where it's the best of the back catalogue, big stage show.
Hour and a half, 2 hours of all their biggest hits. Yeah, exactly. No, 100% agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, no argument from me. Not that we're arguing about them anyway, but if we were, there wouldn't be one from me. So my next one is, I guess, it's not a cheat because I mean it 100%, but they are very new to me, this band. So I put them on my bucket list, but the truth of it is I don't know if it will last. My love for them is off the back of an album that came out in February this year. And I have started listening back to other stuff, and I really like it too. So I'm hoping this is like me embarking on the journey of becoming a huge fan of this band.
Okay.
However, because I'm so hyped for them at the moment, still from February, which I guess is a good innings anyway. I'm of the mindset at the moment that I absolutely have to see this band live, and the band is called Serenity.
Ah.
And these are an Austrian symphonic metal band. Male vocals, which is not always the case in a symphonic metal, but he's one of the fucking best singers I've ever heard in my life. Like for this style of music, he's no Hansi Kirsch, but for this style of music, his voice is absolutely phenomenal. And myself and my daughter, so it is that kind of like easy listening sort of. I guess stuff that would fit really well alongside like. If they weren't so big, like an Aeonia Fest, it's that kind of wonderful solos, wonderful keyboards and symphonic backing and vocals that they don't shy away from having a bit of snarl in them, which is quite nice.
Yeah.
There are some heavy passages and heavy backing, but the geezer is like just like a nightingale. Just vocals are soaring. And there is this all happened off the back of I listened to the album, I really liked it, I scored it I think like 8 out of 10. I was like, that's a solid album.
Yep.
And then I remember going back to it a little bit, and then I got hooked on a song. Like it happens, I was like, there's this song on it called Souls and Sins. And it's I guess it's kind of on the ballad side, but it's symphonic, so everything's kind of on the ballad side a little bit, can't it? But it's got a nice, it's got a good riff, it's got some great guitars and some great drums and stuff like that. And I kind of listened to that song a couple of times, and I found myself, you start getting that itch where you're like, oh, I want to listen to that song again.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the album, there happens to also be a purely acoustic, like guitar only version of the song as well. Which is just, you want to hear like a beautiful song, but done like acoustically. It's absolutely beautiful. And I kind of fell in love with it off the back of that. And then what happens? You kind of, I don't know, I think I was out driving and I went to the wrong track number. So it played the one before. And I really listened to the one before and I was like, God, I did not realise that this album was a 10 out of 10. I didn't realise on my first listen. It's an 11 out of 10. And it's kind of expanded out where, now I'm like, Souls and Sins is still my favourite, but I love 2 and I love 4 and 7 and 8. Oh, I can't skip them. Oh, but number 9, that's a banger.
Yeah.
So I tend to put it on. I'm like, I play Souls and Sin, then I skip all the way to the end and play Souls and Sin's acoustic version, and then I go back and start playing the rest of the album.
Yeah.
It's just one of those albums, man. I hope it's the band as well, but at the moment it's the album that has just, become a bit of a, I don't know, it's not obsession, but you just really fall for an album. You're like, yeah, this is special.
Yeah. And you just bum it basically.
Yeah, and I'm just like, you kind of, I don't know, it's not true, but at first you're like, I'll just go and see them, and then I'll wait for this song, and that's all I'll watch.
Yeah.
And then you're like, but now I'm like, well, now there's 6 or 7 I like to watch, and now I'm starting going back because again, this band have got like a good 4 or 5 album back catalogue. The album before it was The Last Night. This album is called The Last Night. The album before it was called The Lionheart. Mm-hmm. They do songs about historical things, like sometimes battles, sometimes just things that happen in history, which is cool. It's got an added kind of layer of depth to it. They're not just crooning about mermaids or anything like that. Well, it's like a song about Camelot, a song about, different things like that. So.
Well, the National Lottery.
Yeah. No, King Arthur, man.
Very good, very good.
Very, very good album, and a band I would love to see live for now.
Yeah. As you said, it might not last.
Yeah, I hope it does, but there you go.
Right, my next one. It's a specific set at a specific time.
Oh.
Yes. So, bucket list band.
Like it has to be at like 7 o'clock?
No, I meant more of a date.
Oh, like an era. Right.
Within a specific month.
I thought you meant like I'd only watch them if it's from 7:30 till 9.
Yeah. No, the reason why it's a specific month because of what this month has. So the month is December.
Okay.
Can you see where I'm going with this already?
Yeah. Obviously, it's a Christmas special, isn't it?
Yep. And who might I have chosen?
Well, I'm assuming it's going to be Priest.
No.
Oh, no, it's not. It's going to be... What? Oh, I know you. I can't remember the band now.
August Burns Red.
August Burns Red, that's it.
Yeah. Now, I love August Burns Red, their normal stuff, but their Christmas stuff is particularly special. And they have more than enough to fill a set. I think this would be a bucket list thing. Like, if they were like, we're going to do a one-off tour, a couple of cities around, we're going to go to the UK and London in this block in December. This is all we're going to be doing. It's going to be Christmassy as fuck.
I think that'd be cool, man.
So much fun.
Everyone wear your Christmas jumper.
Yeah.
You know, we're going to have Rob Halford come out for a one-track special to do Oh Holy Night. But yeah, I think that's a great idea, man. They should definitely tap into that. People would be up for that.
Yeah, they would.
At Christmas, people are different at Christmas, aren't they?
The only reason I don't think they'd do it is because there isn't much in the way of vocals. So the frontman wouldn't have much. And it's weird, this is coming off the back of Guardians, their new album, which I expected it to be good. I gave it 10 out of 10. It's brilliant. It's one of the best of the year. Amazing stuff, So I'd happily... And I have seen August Burns Red at festivals, never their own show. So, but just, Christmas thing, that was that one, yeah.
Yeah, no, I like it. I like the idea of it. I think it's a good marketing fucking thing there. If any record labels are listening, they're all making notes right now, going, oh, Christmas special, Easter specials, Halloween. Yeah, they do Halloween already, don't they? So
that's true.
Yeah. Okay, so my last one, I'm going a bit off field, I suppose, a little bit in terms of the genres that we cover on the site.
Uh-oh.
I'm not going like Madonna or anything like that, don't worry.
Manic Street Preachers, you're going to go with your wife.
No, it's not them either. I'm going for the horrorcore band Twisted.
Oh, okay.
As in TWIZ, because as well as not knowing much about magnets, we don't know how to spell Twisted in horrorcore.
Yes, or wrestle.
I have actually seen Twisted, but never play live. I've seen them the first time I saw Insane Clown Posse play in the UK when I was a child.
Yeah.
And back then they were all part of a label called Psychopathic Records, which was ITP's own label.
Yep.
And obviously they all went out together and they helped each other on their tours. And on that tour in particular, the guys from Twisted, so Jamie Madrox and Monoxide, were working in the cloakroom, talking to people, milling about, hanging out, getting the crowd worked up, that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So I didn't really know a lot about them at the time. Weirdly, a couple of years later, I became a big, big fan of theirs. And then kind of think, oh, that guy took my coat. I wish I said hello. Unfortunately, those bands have all moved away from each other now. So, ICP playing over here doesn't mean that you see Twisted.
Of course.
And Twisted have kind of got their own thing going. I think they've actually been... I don't know, Insane Clown Posse have too, but they've been booked, Twisted have been booked for a few, or were booked for a few of the big kind of American rock festivals.
Oh, really? Okay, that's branching out, yeah.
Yeah, they were on the bill last year at one of them as well, and like Slipknot and everyone like that were there, and Twisted were there as well. Because there was, Twisted put a video up of them on Facebook of them hanging out with a few of the guys from Slipknot, and and that was kind of cool. But you kind of, I think we'd be less accepting of them over here, weirdly.
Probably.
Because it's essentially rap, horrorcore. The
association, even if it doesn't exist now.
Yeah.
When you said Twisted, my mind went one way. Yeah.
And I think ICP would be. It's kind of weird, It depends on the festival. If Download announced Insane Clown Posse, I don't think people would bat an eyelid. I think they'd be like, oh, okay, they're shit, but they wouldn't be bothered about it. Whereas Twisted are a bit different than that, because they never really even made it that big in terms of MTV play or getting the comedy factor, because they're more serious.
Yeah.
And they are more horrorcore, as in like, their music is around.
They weren't doing no
serial
tracks
killing
like Homies.
Nah, although they do feature on Homies, they do a verse each on it.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, but that was all part of the Psychopathic Records thing.
Yeah.
ICP feature on Twisted songs and vice versa. But I'm not a massive horrorcore fan. I'd be lying if I said I am. I'm a massive horrorcore fan of a time.
Yeah.
When it was Blaze Your Dead Homie and fucking Rotten Mouth and all that sort of stuff. I was big on that, and I still have a lot of that stuff. But Twisted is the band that I guess I've known and loved for the longest in that genre, alongside ICP, but never had the opportunity to see live. So I'm hopeful still that they'll come over here at some point. Weirdly, I know I will not enjoy it as much as I do ICP, because although they have the same sort of fuck about attitude, they are more, I guess, they're more likely to come with 4 or 5 big rap kind of.
Oh, yeah.
Whereas ICP will come with Mushroom Head and people like that, But in terms of a bucket list band, I guess the band I've been a fan of the longest that I haven't seen on my list.
Oh yeah, that's so cool. When you put it like that, it's pretty fucking amazing. Yeah, you kind of have to tick it off regardless, even if even if they were part of and they came with, I don't know, Jay-Z or someone.
Oh yeah, it won't be that level, but yeah, you're right. It'd be more likely to be like Jonathan Davis's old friends like Skrillex and stuff like that,
Or Jay Devil himself.
Yeah, mate, that'd be good, wouldn't it? Maybe that's the show at the Roundhouse. Korn supported by Twisted.
Supported by J Devil's DJ set. Very good. Right, last one, and it's a major cheat because I've only ever seen this band or artist once, and it lives long in the memory for how terrible it was. And then all you ever do is hear how terrible his shows are. So our bucket list band is a good Marilyn Manson show. That's it. Easy.
That is a major cheat.
Yeah.
But yeah. No, that's fair enough. I've seen Marilyn Manson a fair few times, and I'm yet to see a good Marilyn Manson show myself. So
yeah,
I'm sure he does them. He must do.
he must do. There you go. There's 10 bands each for a bucket list. Let us know what yours are in the comments. Thank you very much for watching. You can check us out on gbhbl.com as well as on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Tumblr. Go to Patreon to help us out over there. That's patreon.com/GBHBL, as well as Big Cartel, where you can find some of our merchandise. We have a podcast running on SoundCloud and Apple Podcasts. And of course, if you like this video, do us a favour, hit the subscribe button and help the channel grow. Games, horror and heavy metal. What else is life for?